Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another video, and today we're going to be looking at Frank Lampard's youth revolution and looking ahead to next season to see out of Chelsea's loanees who can break through into the team next season. But before we get into that, I just want to ask you guys to hit a subscribe button whilst you're self-isolating to keep you entertained. I upload videos daily about Chelsea, so definitely it helps out the channel, and give this video a like if you are missing Frankie Lampard's Showtime Blues, because I certainly am, and football in general. But let's get into it, because the loan system, Chelsea's sort of big loan system, sort of hasn't been focused as much this season, predominantly because Chelsea, with the transfer ban, we've seen the young players come into the team under Frank Lampard, the likes of Mason Mount, Fikayo Tomori and Tammy Abraham and more. You know, that hasn't really been focused about by the outside media, but Chelsea still have 28 players out on loan. Now, there's a lot of those players that probably won't be coming back to Chelsea anytime soon. So in this video, I'm not going to be focusing on the likes of Danny Drinkwater, whose basically season has been highlighted by allegedly, and I have to stress allegedly, headbutting another Aston Villa player in training, and there has been threats of him coming back to Chelsea, his loan being terminated. And I'm not going to be talking about Bakayoko, whose Chelsea career is also likely over. And of course, you've got the likes of Kennedy, who will probably come back for pre-season, have a decent time, but then be loaned out again. And Lucas Piazon is contractually obliged to be a Chelsea player for the rest of his career, even though he will never play for the Chelsea first team. So I'm not talking about them. What I'm going to be talking about is 3 players specifically, and that is Ethan Ampadu, Marc Guehi and Conor Gallagher. Those are the 3 I'm focusing on today, because those are the 3 who are not only young players, but players that have excited fans this year. And you feel like 3 that could be the next generation of players to break through at Chelsea in the coming seasons. So let's start off with Ethan Ampadu. Ethan Ampadu is probably the most obvious and the most well-known amongst Chelsea fans, for a number of reasons. You know, he broke through under Antonio Conte in 2017, started playing for Chelsea, and he really has impressed whenever he has played for Chelsea in the small glimpses we've got of him. And of course, he has been sent on loan to RB Leipzig this year. In truth, it hasn't been a great move for him, just in terms of playing time. You know, under Julian Nagelsmann, they've been doing so well, Leipzig, this year. Of course, they knocked out Spurs recently, which was great to see. But they're doing so well in the Bundesliga, playing a really exciting brand of football, one of the most exciting projects in European football. And Ampadu really hasn't got a lot of minutes. He's only recently got minutes at Leipzig. But I think, you know, of course, he played in the first leg against Spurs and was really impressive. You know, a masterclass, which really upset Jose. And I think what makes Ampadu probably the most obvious here, and the best part of his game, is his maturity. I think it's a bit like Billy Gilmour. We've seen with Billy Gilmour what he's done recently, breaking through under Frank Lampard. You sense that from Ampadu. Every time you watch him play, he looks assertive. He looks certain on a football pitch. It seems like he knows what he's doing. He seems to have maturity beyond his age. You know, he's already playing for the Wales national team, and he's one of their starters. Ryan Giggs rates him so highly. And even though he hasn't been playing regularly first team football for Leipzig, he still is in the Wales squad. And I think that tells you a lot. And that versatility in his game, I think, is essential. You know, he not only can play as a centre-back, which he looks brilliant at, he can also play at the base of central midfield, which of course is a stacked area. And we're going to come to that when we speak about Conor Gallagher later on in the video. But I do think that helps Ethan Ampadu's case when bringing him back to Chelsea. And I think that Frank will look at that and see a player that can maybe play in a variety of positions. And whilst Frank's figuring out his best system and best formation and what his best 11 is going to be, I think that can give Ampadu the edge. As well, with the other players we're talking about, Ampadu is playing at a much higher level, playing for Leipzig, playing Champions League football, winning Champions League football. Leipzig could go the distance, you know, if the Champions League ever resumes. But as well, it's a good level of football, and it's given him probably a lot of experience under a really progressive manager in Nagelsmann. So I think that probably has helped him as well. His calm demeanour, his character, I think, are all positives here. Now, I think the issue is centre-back, because I feel that's where probably Ampadu would most likely play when he comes back to Chelsea. And the interesting thing is, who would make way for Ethan Ampadu? Now, I did speak about centre-back pairing and what Chelsea's best centre-back pairing, sort of all of the current centre-backs in the Chelsea squad, in a video I made the other day, which you can definitely go and check out. Link will be in the description and also up in the cards as well. So definitely go and check that out, because I do a full sort of in-depth look at Chelsea centre-backs. But in talking about Ethan Ampadu, who would make way for Ampadu if he would come back? Because because you look at the amount of centre-backs there, you know, Andreas Christensen, Kurt Zouma, Fikayo Tomori, Antonio Rudiger. You know, you do believe one of those could potentially leave the club, maybe on loan or a permanent move, if Ampadu was to come back and return because of playing time. It would maybe aid a player like Ampadu, if he isn't going to get substantial playing time under Frank Lampard, to just have another loan move. But I do believe he is most likely to return to the first team next year. I do believe he is probably now ready to get that time. And I think Frank Lampard has proven this season he is willing to give young players time. And I think Ampadu will look at that and think this is the perfect opportunity to break through at Chelsea and really stake my claim as one of Chelsea's best defenders. So I do believe Ampadu will be returning to Stamford Bridge in the summer. Now, moving on to Marc Guehi, who was on loan at Swansea at the moment. But we did get to see Guehi play for the first team in the League Cup earlier this season against Grimsby and Manchester United. And I actually think both times he played really well. I think, especially against Manchester United, even though we did lose that game, I think in general, in open play, I think he really did well that night. And I think his physicality is something that definitely brings him to the top of the list here, and that can really help, and especially in the area, something that Chelsea have struggled with, especially centre-backs like Andreas Christensen and Zouma have, and maybe that is something that could aid Guehi, bringing him back into the first team here, and is a concern of a lot of the defenders of how we're dealing with set pieces. Could Guehi help that situation there? And I think that Guehi is a little bit different to Ampadu. He is playing at a lower level. It's his first loan move away from Chelsea to Swansea, and it isn't a full season. It's only going to be half a season with Swansea. And I think that how packed that area is, and as I've said with Ampadu returning to the first team, how packed that area is going to be, it is most likely that Guehi will need another loan move. And I do believe the name of Fikayo Tomori is relevant here, not only in challenging Tomori because he is further along in his development. He's played for the Chelsea first team. He's breaking through now into Chelsea's first team under Frank Lampard. But I do believe Tomori's development and his sort of journey back to Chelsea, I think is really good sort of experience and a really good sort of lesson for Guehi potentially. Tomori went on loan to Brighton, went on loan to Hull, and then went on loan to Derby before returning to Chelsea. And I think another loan move, potentially a top tier Championship club, or at best maybe a lower league Premier League club. You know, you look at a team maybe like Watford if they stay up. A really good place for him to get minutes, but I do believe probably a Championship club is better, where he's probably guaranteed more minutes, can really aid his development with some tough physical football, and that really did help Tomori in the Championship. And I think similar with Guehi. So I do believe next season will come a little bit too soon for Guehi for a number of reasons, and I do believe another loan move is really going to help him. More minutes in the legs, more experience playing against different types of opponents, and the Championship is a unforgiving league. It really is, and I think it can really mature players, and we've seen that with Chelsea players currently in the first team, how that's really aided them rather than Premier League loan experience. Don't underrate the sort of the challenge of Championship football, the intensity of it, and I think it really does help young players, and I think it can help Guehi here. And lastly, Conor Gallagher probably has the biggest test of any of the youngsters I'm going to talk about, mostly because of the area he plays, which is central midfield, which is the most competitive and talent-filled area in Chelsea's current squad. Look through all the names: N'Golo Kante, Jorginho, Mateo Kovacic, Mason Mount, Ross Barkley, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and Billy Gilmour. Billy Gilmour, I think, is key here, because Gilmour breaking through at the level he has recently, that could have been a spot for Gallagher. And considering the level Gilmour's playing at, if he keeps on playing like that, a loan move will not be required, and he will just become a first team player. And that could have been a spot for Gallagher. The good thing for Gallagher is, I think, he's a player that, of course, goal-scoring midfielder, which is something Chelsea have lacked recently, but Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Mason Mount can fill that currently and are further ahead in their development to Gallagher. And I think that that's the thing, that all six of those midfielders that I've mentioned probably all have a reason to believe they'll still be at the club next season and will still want to fight. All of them have good attributes, and I think could aid Lampard, and I don't think anyone could be ruled out currently within Chelsea's first team. So that probably doesn't help Conor Gallagher getting back into the first team next year. He may have, a bit of a pre-season, but I do believe he'll be loaned out probably to a Premier League club or a top tier Championship club. But he does have that flair, he does have that confidence and guile. When you watch him play, he does have an impact in games. And I think that's a really impressive attribute he has. And like I compared Guehi to Tomori, I'm going to compare Gallagher to Mount. I believe Mount, really benefited off of those loan moves. Even maybe a European loan move could help Gallagher here, not necessarily a Championship loan move like he has currently with Charlton and Swansea. But But I do believe this is a player that, of course, excites a lot of Chelsea fans. I do believe he will be a player in a few years' time that can definitely break into Chelsea's first team. But it is going to be a challenge, and I do believe this is going to be a thing that is going to be a decision for Chelsea in the coming years when you've got a player like Mason Mount, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and even Tino Anjorin at a younger level who is likely to get a loan move next season. How are all these players going to fit in? And you do believe some are going to fall by the wayside and are going to have to, Chelsea are going to have to cut their losses probably eventually, and one player is going to have to move on because not all these players are going to fit into one system, pretty simply, and all of them are going to want first team football. And I think that would be a bigger question down the line for Chelsea and for Chelsea fans to debate, in truth. So those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you again.